Hello there, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome once again to another episode of The Cider Drinker. Today is, well, it's the end of summer, unfortunately. The autumnal equinox was yesterday, so day and night were exactly the same length. So yes, summer is officially over, especially with today being absolutely awful outside. However, in order to, well, sort of celebrate the summer season, I suppose, we're back with the Thatchers Cider Company. It's been a fair while since I've actually reviewed a Thatchers cider for the channel, and today I'm going to be doing the bottle of Summer Vintage. Now, as you all well know, Thatchers Vintage has been around for many years, so it was a surprise when I saw this appear in the shops a few years ago. Kind of don't really know how this is going to differ from the original vintage, but I suppose that'll be all in the taste, won't it? What I can tell you is it comes in 500ml bottles, as you can see here, and comes in at a pretty respectable 7.4% ABV. I believe that's around about the same percentage as the original vintage. It might be slightly weaker, I'm not sure. Inspired by a stroll through our Somerset orchards, the fruity floral aroma of summer vintage is reminiscent of the delicate blossom and the rosy apples that have made Myrtle Farm our home for 4 generations. With a touch of sweetness from dessert apples combined with length and body from cider apples, this seasonal cider is gently sparkling with a refreshingly crisp bite, perfect for a summer's day. Or any day, to be fair. This is the 2017 vintage, so yes, it's been a couple of years that I've had this bottle, to be fair. Medium dry, as most Thatcher ciders are. Apples harvested in 2017. So yeah, for those of you that are new to a vintage ciders, it doesn't mean that they've been around for years and years. It's literally just that particular year's harvest of apples that have gone into the cider, therefore the vintage being the 2017 one. So let's waste no more time. Let's see what is going to be in store with Thatcher's Summer Vintage and see how it differs from their original vintage. Well, they're not wrong. It definitely does smell a lot more floral, fruity. I'm getting sort of orange blossom on the nose there, actually. Yeah, definite fruity aromas, so, well, with it being a Thatcher cider, got to be poured into the Thatcher's glass, hasn't it? So, let's get this poured out. Way, that's a frothy little number, isn't it? Blimey. Gonna wait for that to dissipate a little bit. Crikey. Now, I can definitely tell you that this cider is still in date, so I don't really know why it's doing that. It's very unusual for a cider to create that sort of foam. But I'll see if I can pour a little more in there. There we go, that'll have to do for now. I'm going to have to pour the rest in later. But, well, I mean, look at that foam. Listen to it. That is keeping a nice frothy head there. That is going to quickly disappear, I'm sure. But I'd imagine it's to do with the Utopia on the bottom here. But there you go. Hefty carbonation, as you can see there. Lovely light straw golden colour there. It does definitely look lovely in the glass, but yeah, very hefty carbonation pushing up to the top there, still keeping a nice foamy head. So, well, make of that what you will. What does it smell like? Do you know what? This smells like a combination. This smells like a combination of their rosé cider that I reviewed quite a while ago, and their I want to say they're Cox's apple cider that unfortunately they don't do anymore. It's fruity, definitely got nice floral notes there. That orange blossom is coming through. It definitely smells sweeter than a medium dry, definitely. Well, it's all in the taste, isn't it? So let's see what I make of it. Cheers everyone, and here's to Thatcher's Summer Vintage. Let's see out the summer in style. Cheers. Oh, wow. That's definitely got a kick to it. Whoa. Yeah, that definitely tastes a lot different to their original vintage. Blimey, there's no oakiness at all. There's no tannins present at all that you get in normal vintage ciders. So yeah, it is definitely very different to a traditional vintage, that's for sure. Still keeping that foamy head every time I pour a little bit more in. But yeah, Definitely a little bit sweeter than medium dry, for sure. The floral fruity characteristics on the nose are coming through as well. Definitely a touch more acidic than a vintage is normally. In a way, it's almost got a tart bitterness behind it as well, on the initial taste. That admittedly is a little bit off-putting. You don't necessarily think of that when you think of a vintage cider. You think really deep, bold, dry, tannic notes. This is definitely far from a traditional vintage cider can be. Be interesting to know what apple varieties have gone into this particular vintage, that's for sure. It's definitely got a kick to it. I reckon those years of just like maturing in the fridge have given it that little bit of boozy kick behind it. Mind you, it is 7.4% ABV, so maybe I can just taste the strength more than their original vintage. I don't dislike it. It's definitely different to the other vintages, but I don't know. There's just that tart bitterness and that boozy kick that's making it not as good as their original vintage, I want to say. Oh, pardon me. Sorry, I mean hefty carbonation as well, as you can definitely tell. Let's go for a final taste before a final verdict. Now, with it being a summer vintage, is it good for the summer? Not really. It's not that refreshing, if I'm going to be honest. If you want a refreshing summer's cider, then this is probably not going to be the one for you. A, because it's a lot stronger than you're probably used to. You're probably used to like the 4.5%ers. 2, and B, the tastes are really, strong. They are definitely strong, almost to the point of being a little bit overpowering. That is not to say that it doesn't taste bad, because it doesn't taste bad. I'm just saying that if you're going into this thinking it's going to be a really refreshing summer's drink, then you're going to probably be disappointed. As for it being an actual vintage, the tastes are completely different to what you normally expect in a vintage, so there's that to take into account as well. People are going to probably buy this thinking, oh, the original vintage is nice, and then they're going to try this and go, wow, this is completely different. So I'm not entirely sure who this is supposed to be catering for, but if you go into this on the basis that, it's just a different Thatchers cider with it not being a vintage or the summer variety or something like that, the tastes are rather good, but there's just a couple that undermine it a little bit, like the tartness, the little boozy kick at the end. But all in all, it's not a bad cider, let's just say. Let's go for a final verdict, get the chalks, and for a final verdict, I'm going to go and give, wow, if my chalks actually want to work, I'm going to go and give Thatchers Summer Vintage a 6 out of 10. Given the choice, I would go for Thatcher's original vintage over this any day. But if someone was to give me this, I wouldn't not accept it. The tastes are good, but I definitely have had better vintages on this channel for sure. So, there we go, another episode of The Cider Drinker for you guys. I hope you liked it, and as usual, I will be back with another delicious and tasty cider soon. Till then, well, you know me, I don't like to see a good vintage go to waste, so definitely going to be finishing this one off. Take care, guys. Till next time.